GearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone.
Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone.
Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome
I'm not going to do it.
You're listening to Misguided Musings on the Gear Network.
And Tom sends me $6.66, but Tom's $6.66 came with a fun little note that said, "For anal sexes."
You know, they can finally get to work on the biopic that Jason been time with, from dildos to bullet holes. Died in Oregon Trail too.
Jesus Christ.
They tried to cross the river. That was their mistake.
So you know what makes me say, fuck it? Apple picking. Every fucking year, people pile into their cars with their kids, their snotty, bratty kids.
You're listening to a new episode of Misguided Musings here on the Gear Network. Here's your host, Jordan Oster.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 13. Welcome to the show.
God damn it.
Oh, this has already started out.
We're already screwed.
Wasn't even made.
All right, so maybe we'll just... Welcome to episode number 13.
It's kind of fitting that my first episode is episode 13.
Well, and so
it's a good luck
for those of you who don't know, that's Army Sergeant, former Army Sergeant.
Yeah,
Christian.
Get that right.
He's joined us for this episode tonight. Tom is sick or
something,
dying or wearing a
penis cancer.
No, he's not got penis cancer. You don't wish penis cancer on anybody.
No.
You never wish penis cancer on anybody. He has penis marks that we need to find out if they may be cancer.
We really should probably stop. We should probably stop with the whole penis thing. Just, I mean.
I absolutely don't. I feel like we should be known as the four most, horrible people at keeping our penises in check.
Well, I mean, I'm the only one who hasn't had a penis disease, but I'm the only one who's been on every episode.
You have kids. It's the worst penis disease there is. I'm sorry.
Well, so you know what's funny about having kids, actually? What's funny about having kids is, everyone tells you, oh my God, it's the most rewarding experience you'll ever have. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And they're like, oh, a child's laughter is great. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, a child screaming makes me want to hurt people.
I never really understood, when my wife and I got married, we talked about music and movies and politics, and then we had kids. And now when I come home, she's like, oh, this one pooped. And I'm like, what does my life come to that the consistency of my child's poop is the first thing we talk about when I walk in the door?
Well, here's the thing about being adopted, too. I have a relationship with my biological mom, but there's still a person out there I could ruin their lives by being like, hey, remember that load that grew up? What's up, Dad? There's still a guy out there I know a lot about, and I know that he's still with the woman he cheated on, and I know that his kids have no idea that I exist. And I feel like show up on his door and be like, what's up, CW Season 2? Showed up at your door, Dad.
You should. Wait, CW? What?
I don't know. That's the most dramatic, melodrama of I'm your long lost son. When really I'd be like, give me $20 and I'll fuck off forever.
$20? I'll give you 30 if you fuck off forever after mowing my lawn.
No, I don't do chores. That's very racist of you.
It's only half racist.
To go back real quick, right? So, the one thing that I never heard about, when I had kids, was the ability that parents get to be able to find drive-thrus. Because, for me, I don't actually get out of my car with my daughter. I just go to places that have drive-thrus and order stuff. So, I kind of weigh my decisions on the importance of, do I need to get this errand done today, or can I leave my child at home in her pajamas so I don't have to walk? Can I stay at home in pajamas with my child, or do I have to go and pick up your prescription for whatever?
Jordan, this is why I wish that you had smoked weed in your 20s, because you would instantly know where every drive-thru is in the quickest way to get there.
You know what's funny is I found drive-thrus that places that I never thought would have a drive-thru, for instance, I was in Brockton, right? Now, of all places, I was
That's going to be a
in
great
Brockton.
place to find a drive-through.
It was a Panera Bread. I was like, first of all,
Dude, all Paneras have fucking...
Not what I expected. I expected in like Brockton you would be able to buy a 357 in the drive-through. Like, I'll get a number 3.
A 357 and some Air Jordans.
and that comes with a free bottle of Hennessy if you have a coupon.
No, I've driven through Brockton. It's literally, there is a gun store across the street from Brockton High. Like, there's a gun store and liquor store across the street from Brockton High School.
What Massachusetts is sadly lacking is a liquor store that has a drive-thru. Absolutely necessary. I don't want to truck all 3 kids in there. I don't want to have to put on pants to go buy beer. That is a waste of time. This is America, for fuck's sake.
Listen, if you don't want to spend the time to put on pants to buy your whiskey, you are like one slightly bad decision away from a news story.
Listen, I read a lot of Charles Bukowski. That's all I'm saying.
So listen, right? My sister-in-law found out this week that I'm a gun owner. And it's not like I've ever hidden that fact from anybody. But
no, we went shooting like a motherfucker. That was
I've posted pictures on Facebook and like tagged myself at the gun range with other people. And so she finds out that I'm a gun owner this week. And she's talking to my wife and she's like, so Jordan has guns in the house? And my wife's like, yeah. You know, she goes, you better keep your daughter away from them. And my immediate thought when I heard this was like, yes, because she's going to like walk to where my gun's locked, unlock it, and then like use it as a chew toy at 16 months old. I mean,
you know, honestly, I hear all these stories about like parents whose kids find, toddlers who find their parents loaded 357. And the first thing I'm thinking is like, if you have a loaded 357, you're doing something wrong. That magazine should be empty because you emptied it into a watermelon, a football, a bottle of beer, a couple of pictures of Roger Goodell. Like, whatever you can shoot at, you should be shooting at. There should never be any leftover bullets. You're doing it wrong.
Did you hear about the woman? Did you hear about like this gun advocate? And this like gives people like me a bad name. Are you saying
gun advocate? Okay.
Yeah. No. So this gives people like me a bad name. But she was down in Florida, of all places. Shocker. That
not like the rest of us.
When you hear the rest of the story, you'll understand why I said shocker. But so she's in Florida and she's like talking about how great a shot her son is. And she walked away from him with him having the loaded rifle, and he shot her in the back.
Oh no!
I was like, first of all, why am I not shocked that
you have earned it? You earned it,
right? I mean, he's a great shot. I just maybe he wasn't aiming for your legs or anything, but he like, I guess shot her through and through because it was a rifle. So she like, how bad do you feel when you're like on the cover of magazines for being a gun advocate, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, my 3-year-old shot me because I wasn't paying attention to my loaded gun.
Look, I don't trust my 4-year-old with like the remote control to the television. So giving him a revolver or a rifle, it's just not in the cards, man. You do not give a child a gun.
Oh, but he's a great shot. He's totally okay. So,
I mean, any child that is just learning to wipe their ass should not be allowed to hold a weapon.
But then again, I have to give kudos to any child that knows just to wing a person.
So, speaking of children learning to wipe their ass, Hulk Hogan won $115 million this week. He sued Gawker for making that sex tape where he used.
I am so happy because Gawker is a garbage editorial and fucking.
They are the worst human beings on earth. Like, I don't mind Deadspin. Deadspin has its moments, but like Gawker, just in general, is the most smug, self-involved, think piece generating bullshit machine I have ever encountered in my life. When I first started reading Gawker, it was years ago, and they did like this really great piece on the gathering of the Juggalos.
Oh yeah,
and I realized like that was not lucky for them. Like they're just that shitty that like even they can make an article about the Juggalo interesting, but then every other thing they do is about like it's just so fucking boring. Everything on Gawker is the worst.
Hey Matt, when you were at the gathering of the Juggalos, did you see Gawker there?
What?
Sid, when you were at the gathering of the Juggalos, did you see Gawker? Well, you are an ICP fan, right?
No.
Come on. You are an ICP fan?
I might be a clown, but I'm not an insane
clown.
Listen,
everybody has the Great Malenko, okay? Everyone owns a copy of the Great Malenko.
I actually don't.
I remember seeing Andrew WK, and I guess he played like the Juggalo festival. I guess they have it every year, and it was on YouTube. And basically, he didn't have a band play. He just plugged in his iPhone with like the music as a background, and he just started dancing and chanting, and people just started throwing stuff at him, and he's just like dodging trash because it's just like all litter and stuff, and it's one of the funniest things ever. And he's just yelling at the audience like, "You're the best audience ever." He's like, "You guys are all rock and roll," and they're like, "You suck," and he was like, "I love you too." It was like one of the best protest concerts I've ever seen. I mean, you should check it out.
Andrew
on
WK
YouTube.
actually had a TV show on Cartoon Network for a little while. My kids love it.
What was the name of it?
I don't know. It was kind of like, it was one of those challenge shows where it was like, hey, you got to kayak across this stream and then like fall off something. But it was like Andrew WK style. So he was always like shouting party at them and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
He follows me on Twitter.
He's like a motivational speaker. He does like TED Talks.
NWK follows
He follows me on Twitter. I was so excited. I actually took a screenshot of it. It's one of the happiest things that has ever come out of my Twitter because I only have like 12 followers, but one of them is Andrew WK.
I was so excited. The standout moment for me in Twitter was being followed by Zach Ward, who, those of you who don't know, played Titus's brother in the show Titus, and also played Fergus in fucking A Christmas Story, the bully that the main character beats up.
He follows you. Like, no offense, Jesse, but how sad is it when you have to follow like a budding stand-up comic?
A gingerly one for that
No,
matter.
I am so happy. I was like, dude, the guy from A Christmas Story follows me, motherfucker. And also, Titus is one of my favorite comics, so, you know.
That's awesome.
Anything to that show makes
For
me
his
happy.
punchlines, does he do #GingerSnap?
Oh, no.
Womp womp.
All right, before we get too far into it, we are Misguided Musings minus Tom plus Sergeant Oster there. Yes, he's my brother. We were gonna like leave that for a big reveal at the end, but we'll get to it.
Just call me Sarge.
Nope.
You can find us on...
Fine, screw you.
Jesus. We can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Misguided Musings. I am at J_K_Oster at Twitter, and Matt is at An Eclectic Taste. Jesse is at African J. That's H African J. The show itself is at Musing Podcast. I just wanted to get that in because we always forget to do it in the beginning, and this show has started off like a train wreck already.
And
so
I'm at Bastard Prophet, so fuck you guys for not even mentioning me. It's stupid.
Well, I mean, you're kind of like an ancillary, like.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
We're gonna bring you in every so often.
Sorry, I don't mean more to you.
Well, I mean, you're the Sarge.
That's right.
So.
That's what I want. The Sarge. Coming to you live from the war room.
Let's get into current events, I guess. So today, protesters in Arizona shut down a highway because Donald Trump was there. That seems like an appropriate response. Shutting down highways for his motorcade to be able to just drive around. It's pretty sweet.
He seems like a great guy.
He's a piece of human garbage.
Who Donald Trump?
Yeah, he seems like a one hell of a dude. A wonderful gentleman.
He is sort of a guy.
He's good at all things good.
Did you hear who?
We will have elected someone who received a stone cold stunner.
This is true. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
I don't know if you guys know this, but earlier this week it was May 16th, which was 3/16.
No, March 16th. So they're in a different month.
Yeah. What? Shut up.
So, Jesse, it goes January, February, March.
Anyways,
June,
it was 3/16, and they released a video of all of the Stone Cold Stunners, and one of which was Donald Trump receiving a Stone Cold Stunner.
Well, it's all right. When Trump becomes president, Stone Cold Steve Austin will end up in a concentration camp for that, so it's okay.
Probably.
We shouldn't joke about concentration camps. Those are serious.
I have a really hard time concentrating myself.
I know.
But the
A
only
lot of
white
people
person.
suffer from ADHD, and we haven't found a better name for those classrooms.
Oh, no.
Thank God no one knows I'm doing this.
Yeah, well, wait until I tag you on Facebook.
Listen, I work for Germans. We can't be making those jokes, bro.
Oh, yeah, touche. Well, I mean, just
We were talking about
fuck
the
crowds.
inability of people to concentrate. I don't know why people are getting so uptight about it. If kids nowadays just knew how to focus, we wouldn't have to have camps.
Actually, you know what? I got to tell you a funny story about these guys. So, when they first came to the U.S., we were doing that whole get to know you thing. Hey, you're my boss. I'm your employee. And we were talking about conspiracy theories at some point, and I was like, oh, there's this conspiracy theory out there where people believe that, Hitler was still alive for a long time after the war. The first thing this guy says to me is, Hitler was Austrian. And I was like,
well, we all know that.
Like, no. He's not one of us.
fact.
He's from Austria. It's a different place
he also
altogether.
had a great mustache.
But he was leader of Germany.
He was a big Charlie Chaplin fan.
That's like people be like, Cosby wasn't a doctor. And it's like, we know that. Like, you didn't need to tell me that.
Kind of immaterial to the fact that he was the worst human being on earth.
Didn't have the right to write his own prescriptions. We know that was shady shit.
Cosby was the greatest mixologist of all time.
Oh,
Man, I thought you didn't
my
like
God.
mixologists.
DJ Sleepy.
Oh no. So anyway, also in current events, we had Hillary Clinton's secretary or IT guy set up the server in her basement. It was great.
Is there anything more boring than Hillary Clinton?
He was great. Well, this guy was granted immunity from the Justice Department for his illegal actions of setting up a server in her basement for classified email. So,
guys, I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell that woman.
Hillary Clinton could just have a.
I would.
And
Love
I hate her. I hate her with a passion, but there's no way she's getting indicted.
I would love it if everybody just found out that Hillary Clinton had a secret, like, Game of Thrones podcast that she was really ashamed of, and that was what this was all about.
Or she
And she was
or
like,
she
"Guys,
wrote like,
I didn't want everyone to know I read all the
or she wrote like
books.
Game
Like,
of
I'm really
Thrones
into
fan
it."
fiction, and it was like a mix between Game of Thrones and Twilight.
I think she's going to be more.
She's really into like the Tyrion Cersei fan fiction, where Tyrion just hate fucks the shit out of Cersei on a stool. Those of you who know the show know why that's funny.
So I think she's going to be more ashamed that when people find out she had a penis at one point in time.
Oh,
No. It's a new society, bro. Everybody's cool.
everyone's got a dick nowadays, Jordan.
I mean, Woman of the Year used to be a guy.
I wouldn't say everybody. Have you seen a Donald Trump rally?
That's true. That's true.
There's some
You
handsome
mean,
looking
have I
fellas
seen
there.
a bunch of racists in one place? I mean, we live in Boston.
Actually, what I think is interesting is that Caitlyn Jenner is a big Ted Cruz supporter. That came out of nowhere,
Well, yeah,
right?
Caitlyn
Oh.
Jenner is a huge asshole, and changing genders does not change that. Bruce Jenner was a dick. Caitlyn is equal.
That's a fact. That's a true fact.
Bruce Jenner killed somebody.
He did kill a guy or a woman,
Caitlyn
right?
Jenner has not killed anyone. So there's no.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the legality of that?
I guess
If
you
you
get
change your
exonerated
gender,
when
do
you
you
change
not get
sexes.
elected? I mean, do you not get indicted?
Bruce Jenner murdered some woman. Caitlyn Jenner just killed some cunt she was competing with. Bruce Jenner was like this dumb bitch who just was born as who she was. She didn't have to go through the struggle of.
Jesse, you can call Caitlyn Jenner a cunt because she still got the dick.
God damn it, Matt! You just sounded like my dad.
Dear God, it's like happy hour at the VA right now.
Listen, I'm just saying, nobody thought Bruce Jenner was a stellar dude. So when he was like, "I have boobs now," everyone was like, "You're such a brave person." You're like, "Nope, still a dick. Just wait a few months." And then when someone who was a dude that became a woman, which is, I mean, I'm all for it. I don't give a shit. That's just, whatever. Sexuality is a spectrum. I appreciate that. But still, when you change genders and are still like, no, gay people shouldn't get married, I'm like, you're a piece
Now
of
you're
shit.
a piece of shit spanning two genders. That's amazing.
Jesse, I have to ask you a question. If you were about to have sex with someone who you found out was a post-op tranny, would you go through with it?
How attractive.
I don't think tranny is the right word. Pretty confident tranny is a bad word.
That's my immediate question. I'm a very open person.
Sure, if you were somebody, yeah, because
As long as Jesse's a top.
yeah, Jesse. So
I mean, yeah, that's the important part of this whole thing.
if you were at a bar and a post-op transsexual, I mean, they removed the Adam's apple, so they shaved it, whatever.
I like how you changed it to Adam's apple, is that's what you're worried about being removed.
Well, I mean, I just don't know where.
I think we all gathered when you said post-op, my friend.
So, would you?
What do you think the operation is, Jordan? Because it's a lot more than the Adam's apple.
Well, I mean, for some people, it's not. Look at Bruce Jenner.
Well, the thing I like about Bruce Jenner is he's like, you know what? I'm too old to get rid of my dick. I'm just too old.
Again,
to
like I'm
remove it.
saying, if I'm attracted, they have a vagina. What's up? Like,
So then, Jesse, I've got someone I want you to meet.
I doubt it. Listen, we're both from the South Shore. Nobody we know makes the amount of money to get that convincing of a surgery. So there's no one you can set me up with that would be like, all right, let's go.
I actually listened to another podcast on this, and it was like, it's cheaper to go from male to female than female to male. Because all you're really doing is cutting the penis in half and like turning it inside out.
All right, so
That's so sick.
No, listen, this is fine. It's very easy to explain. When you're doing laundry and you're trying to put your socks in there and you're like, oh no, this sock's inside out, and you gotta correct it. It's basically what the surgery is. You're like, wow, I must have pulled that sock off in a furor because it's inside out right now.
If it's inside out,
Gotta switch
if it's
it.
inside out, can you just like put your thumb in your mouth and blow on your thumb to like get it to pop out like a
You're like,
cartoon?
If this sock remains like this, it's not going to get clean. So I got to switch it and bring it inside out. Like it's the same thing. Just imagine that with flesh and a few stitches.
So Matt, speaking of inverted penises, did you get yours fixed last week? I think we sent you a bag of dicks, Matt. I'm not sure. Did you get it? Did you get the bag of dicks? Because we have a picture of you eating a gummy penis.
I think Matt's gone. We've lost Matt.
Oh, Matt.
Oh, fuck.
Matt, you can come back. It's okay.
What was it? The sock discussion? I feel like
He connected and disconnected like 6 times. I think we've lost him.
And you wanted to talk about Turkey being like, no, they're lying.
Listen, all I said was that Turkey called American warnings about terrorism propaganda.
Yeah, well, you know.
So
we do that ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hashtag Alex Jones. Hashtag most entertaining bullshit you'll ever listen to on the internet. I was at Fox News and there were guys in suits following me. Oh my god, I love this paranoid piece of shit.
Oh, hey, Matt's back.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Matt, tell us about your bag of dicks, pal. Did it help with your inverted penis?
Oh, they were flavorful, and they totally worked for me for a whole week. I just took all of them and just swallowed them, deep thrown them right down.
Put them all in my mouth. Put every one of them in my mouth.
Was it like a bouquet of flavor when you put them all in your mouth?
It was like a fucking salvation. It was just like explosion of juices and.
All right. This whole first segment's gonna be hard enough to edit anyway.
This is gonna be a blasty blast.
You have to keep the sock thing. The sock thing is brilliant.
If you don't leave the sock analogy in there, I will drop kick you into oblivion.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to a break, and then when we come back, hopefully we'll talk about music. But judging on the first half of this episode, we are in trouble. We'll be right back.
Good. I gotta go masturbate.
Hey everyone, John Cimino here for the Gear Radio Network, and you have asked and asked repeatedly, what is up with the app? We know you have one, and you never push it, you never do anything with it. Well, guess what? We got a better one, and it is free, it is absolutely available for you, and there's so much more you can do with it. Visit GearNetwork.com and click Get the App. It's up on the top banner, or if you're feeling really brave, head to gearnetwork.mobapp.at on your mobile phone and your mobile phone's browser, and you can take Gear Network with you wherever you go. Listen to every show on the Gear Network right from the app. You can view all of our social networks in real time. You can read Gear Network and BLTDsports.com blogs in real time. And you can also shop Amazon and help us out and help you out. It is free. Did I mention that? Again, GearNetwork.com or GearNetwork.mobapp.at. Download it right now.
All right, everybody, and
Hello, everybody.
oh, you fucking
Every time.
clearly, the second half of this episode is not going to go anywhere the way I wanted it to. So we
Start building Legos.
we were having an issue kind of figuring out when the last great rock album came out. And with the exception of Iggy Pop and Josh Homme this year, and
Which I'm
David
going to
Bowie.
see, by the way. I can't wait to. I'm going to see that show.
That's awesome, man.
They're playing at the They're
a
playing
good
at the
show.
Orpheum on April 11th.
I'm really jealous.
If
of
you
that.
can't, I mean, you guys got to get tickets. I'm sure there's still tickets left.
And with the exception of David Bowie,
Fuck David Bowie.
whoa,
Oh.
I don't agree with that.
Disagree with that.
Nope.
Really?
Yep.
69-year-old guy releasing innovative music.
Oh wow,
Like,
that
he was
sounds
the-
exactly like good bands. Only it's David Bowie.
Only 69-year-old classic rock star where people look forward to each
Hey, look,
album.
man, I'll accept that I'm outnumbered, but I think David Bowie definitely went off the rails.
I mean, when you compare it to like what Taylor Swift,
I think David Bowie's really good until he started having sex with Mick Jagger.
Oh no.
I mean, music in the 80s wasn't that great, but like
Yeah, but
in the
dancing
90s,
in the streets was really an egregious crime.
Oh, absolutely.
listen,
I mean,
we're talking about new David Bowie, not like
I mean, I don't know, man. I just think he was kind of overrated in our generation. He was really good when he was back in the day, but I don't get it, man. I don't see it.
He kind of reinvigorated himself in the 90s and 2000s, and then he took that long break, and his last two albums were like fantastic. Like his last album previous to the one he just released this year, well, his last one obviously, Next Day, was like like his stuff that he did with Ziggy Stardust. It was kind of that 70s classic rock feel with a little bit of an influence of electronica. I mean, I understand any artist that you could say like, oh, some of the, any artist has won like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you could say is overrated. I mean, you could even put the Beatles, the Stones, Zeppelin, every band at some point in their, long career was overrated at a certain period. But I just think David Bowie was, and I know people use this word and overuse our originator, but I think he was. I mean, he was a guy who, even if you didn't like his music that he did, at least he was trying something new all the time.
Let me adjust what I'm saying. David Bowie may or may not. David Bowie is absolutely talented, and anybody who says he wasn't talented is out of their mind. I don't think anybody here is saying that. I'm just not impressed with his music. His later stuff, I was just like, it's not really that.
I think Lazarus was a great song.
Oh God, yeah, Black Star.
Black Star was another great song. I mean, and those are the two obviously the most popular off of that album. But there was.
Yeah, but why was it great? Like, what about that song turned you onto it? Because for me, it just
Lazarus was just so haunting for me, and I thought it was I thought the lyrics were really good. I thought the vocals, because he sounded very weary. Obviously, he was going for his treatment, and the song just builds. It's like a slow burner. It's got some great guitar parts. It's kind of written like a jazz song, and it just, when it gets to like the chorus, it just gets very, everything just kind of like comes out. And it's not what you would call a heavy song, but I mean, it gets really intense up until that last part where he says, now I'm free. No, I'm free. And you can tell he's really trying to push his vocals because, he's 68 years old at the time. He's going through a sickness, and it's really hard for him to actually convey that emotion. And he's just trying so hard. It's the same reason why Johnny Cash doing the cover of Hurt, why that was so effective. I mean, could you put it? I mean, was that a great song?
Oh,
no, it wasn't
amazing.
really.
It was amazing
But
that he
the
did
conviction.
it. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that like
Yes, the conviction and his voice and the sincerity.
I love when people say that Trent Reznor copied Johnny Cash in that song, and I'm like, no, you're an idiot. No, I absolutely think that David Bowie's last album was probably one of the best rock albums to release in the last few years. I mean, obviously, we could go with the Iggy Pop album, which
It's such a great album, man.
It's fantastic, but I mean, when it comes to I mean, great albums. The Foo Fighters, that was 2013, their last album.
2014, I think.
Yeah, 2014. Sorry, 2014. And so was Eagles of Death Metal. Zipper Down was a great album.
It was a fun album.
But it wasn't like, it was great for them. It was great for their music. But
yeah,
they have such a cult following that I don't think they get enough credit. But at the same time, it's not going to be something that's in the Billboard top charts. It's not going to be.
The problem with them too, though, is that they have a really amorphous lineup. You know, they have like kind of a revolving door, and so I think a lot of people have a hard time getting into it because they don't know. It's not.
But the people who like that, the people who like them, love that they have a revolving door lineup.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they've always been kind of a niche group because there's always somebody who's kind of changing around in the band, and I think only people who like really pay attention to music listen to the Eagles of Death Metal to begin with.
I mean, you can say the same thing for Queens of the Stone Age.
A lot of the music is tongue-in-cheek, too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
No,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, there's a certain kind of sense of humor with it.
Eagles of Death Metal and Queens of the Stone Age really have a very similar following of people who really love music, but also are like paying very close attention to the scene itself.
When I first heard Steel Panther.
Yeah, Steel Panther. I love Steel Panther, man.
I know they're different, but when I first heard them, I was like, oh, they're just kind of like an 80s metal version of Eagles of Death Metal. And then they ended up going to their own genre for me. I love listening to Steel Panther, but just in a different way than I like listening to Eagles of Death Metal. Hey, Jess, you going to keep closing doors back there, or are you going to join the conversation?
I haven't closed a single goddamn door.
He's really drunk.
I'm not really drunk. I'm just on the outside of this because I don't listen to the Eagles of Death Metal that much.
So I mean, we know you listen to like Kanye and whatnot. So why don't you just tell us about what you
do not listen to Kanye. goddammit!
Half of you
I'm not a Kanye fan one bit.
Only half.
An artist.
Although, I will say I like a couple of Kanye songs.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Black Skinhead's a very catchy song.
I do like Black Skinhead.
I just hate the lyrics. I like the music to act.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that when Jesse is like on the bus on his way to work, he like rocks out to Taylor Swift, but he's so unassuming because he doesn't look like he's a Taylor Swift fan.
Listen, I do not rock out to Taylor Swift, although there are some songs that are catchy. Anyways,
so do you shake it off or?
No,
the power of having 12 songwriters at your arsenal.
You cannot deny that "Shake It Off" is not an infectious tune.
Sure,
I don't think he deserves credit for it.
1989 is a very underrated album. I think a lot of you guys. I'm sorry, I can't keep a straight face.
I mean, Jesse, does your heart beat like the beat of an 808 drum?
See, this is how I know you also listen to these fucking songs.
The difference is, Jesse, he has an excuse. He has a daughter.
No, that's not an excuse because his daughter is young enough to not retain anything.
Not true.
That's true.
That is
My
not
daughter
true.
always asked me to put on like Slipknot or Ministry. So
I'll be in the car with my daughter and I'll put on like WZLX and we'll listen to like Billy Squier and Queen and The Who or whatever, and she loves it. She actually will bop her head to it, like, and do headbanging for, as little of a kid as she is. And then, she'll get bored with that stuff and I'll put on like whatever mixed channel and she like will dance in her car seat. And I'm like, oh, this is terrible. That's my wife. I completely blame it on her. She listens to pop channels. And I'm like, just stop.
Well, my daughter's favorite song is actually "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses, and I'm really proud of that because there's no way she would have heard that had I not played it for her in the car and forced her to listen to it over and over and over again before she actually I think it's more like Stockholm syndrome than anything else, but she loves it.
You know what I actually really enjoy when I listen, like with the baby. She's 16 months. I guess she's a toddler, right? We sometimes, like, if I'm in the car and I want her to go to sleep, I'll put on like rock songs that are played in like as in lullabies. So like Nine Inch Nails will come on, and The Who and the Beatles have like a lullaby thing, and she actually goes right out. I love it.
Dude, I don't want to.
Your daughter's a fan of alternative rock. That's good.
Jordan, you could also play Coldplay to her, and that'll put her to sleep.
That puts adults to sleep.
You know what I do with Coldplay is I will buy the CD and then
what you don't like about Coldplay is they were like, Coldplay as an idea is like, hey, let's take the best parts of Radiohead and take them out. Let's take the boring parts of Radiohead and make them into a band.
I know this happened like months ago now, or a month ago, something like that. But if we're gonna get into it, what was the NFL thinking when they were like, "Hey, I have an idea. We have a bunch of fans, and let's give them Coldplay."
Dude, there's already been rumors about it. It had something to do with Roger Goodell's wife.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did
she's a huge
Coldplay
Coldplay
actually
fan.
play at the halftime event? Because all
Probably
I heard
not.
was Beyonce.
Well, no, because no musicians played.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl at all. I watched zero Super Bowl coverage.
I skipped the halftime.
I didn't even know that there was like cameos at the halftime show. I assumed there would be because Coldplay doesn't have a strong enough set list to get through a 10-minute concert.
Coldplay, no one ever says like, "Oh, good, Coldplay's on." Coldplay's one of those things that you play in the background of like date rape
or a department store.
You know the guy who pulls up in his car, like out in front of a bar, and he's listening to Coldplay, and the woman turns around, she's like, "Oh, clocks," and he's like, "Hey, get in."
He's like, here, have this drink.
I never meant to hurt you.
Yeah. Clocks is playing, and he's like,
Chloroform.
She's like, "Oh my god, I love that song," and he's like, "Hey, have you met my friend Bill Cosby?"
You'll go yellow too with the jaundice you'll get from the STD.
What? Oh God.
That's
Whoa.
see, there's
I hope Tom can edit that out.
Matt. There is a certain part of going too far, and I think you hit it.
It's a line that Matt likes to pole vault over.
I mean, like, at least we haven't heard him mention NAMBLA yet, so I guess we're on the right track.
That's good. We've avoided the pedophilia jokes.
Well, we opened the door for Matt, but he's staying out of it, which is good, because 15 gets you 20, Matt.
He's keeping his Cabbage Patch out of that kid for now. Well, one of us had to do
All
it.
right, so back to music. So I guess my question that I wanted to pose was, is rock music dead? And I think that what we're slowly seeing is that, bands like the Foo Fighters, bands like Queens of the Stone Age, Eagles of Death Metal, I think they are kind of going by the wayside. I don't see another generation stepping up, and obviously music's turning to reused beats and synth pop and kind of electronica, and I'm not a huge fan.
I disagree with that. I mean, I think there's always good music out there. I just think that when it comes to like rock and roll and playing your instruments, I think it's gone more, underground now. And I think the fact that, there isn't many rock stations out there, they're not really catering to rock bands. I think people's music tastes have changed. I mean, I know a lot of people that, grew up liking the same music I did, and now they're into like electronica music and EDM, which I really don't like. I don't mind some experimentation with electronica music. But I mean, look back in high school. I mean, was a bro country music popular then? No. And within like 2 years, they started selling out concerts at Foxborough Stadium with like fucking garbage pop country artists playing overproduced like big anthem rock choruses over like the fucking songs about sleeping with their sisters and rah rah.
But for a short period of time, I worked as a bouncer at a country bar. And I'll tell you right now, the two biggest things I learned about country music are it's the goddamn worst. And people who listen to country music, I'm pretty confident they only listen to it because they literally have no ability to dance. I was watching women that would, in any other part of the world, be unbelievably beautiful. But the minute they started moving, I was like, oh, do you have a palsy or what happened?
I feel like what we're seeing now in modern times is more so the death of the mainstream than it is the medium.
Yeah, because
like people are gravitating less towards radio as they are like what's locally going on, and I think that's really what people are like. Oh shit, rock's dying, and it's like no, mainstream rock is dying. Like the VH1, MTV rock is dying, and people are more interested in the bands that are like not discovered and not getting radio play as much.
Yeah, like Instagramming, like, look what concert, here I am at the Country Fest. It's like, hasn't like 8 bands already played? Oh yeah, we're waiting to see the last band. It's, you can tailgate back at your like, your backyard and blasting music and not. I mean, most of these people don't even pay attention to the band. They just like to Instagram and show on Twitter. Hey, I'm at the country fest. Look at me. I'm a conformist. Look at I'm status quo.
They want that's what they're looking for. They want to put on the country music hat. The cowboy hat. They want to put on the shorts with the American flag on the butt pocket. They don't listen to the music. They don't know dick about it. They just know that, hey, this is what all my friends like, so I'm going to like it too because I want to be part of it.
Yeah. There's no art involved in that. That's just fucking, being the conformist status quo.
Well, it's like the lyrics were written by a 12-year-old who didn't own a thesaurus.
I'm sorry for my ignorance. It's my 6th grade education.
That sounds like a hit to me.
I know.
If you
like a Garth Brooks classic.
If you add a line about fishing for catfish and your truck, you have a hit, my friend.
And if you add a cheating ex in there with a white cowboy hat, you are fucking golden, my friend.
I know that Zach Brown isn't the most popular guy in the world, but I think that he's probably the only country musician right now who's like, hey, I read on a high school reading level, so let me put some good lyrics together and some actual decent music, and then mix in some dumb stuff for the rest of the people. I mean, he got Chris Cornell, man.
Oddly enough, the only famous person I've ever been told I look like when I don't shave. And wear a beanie. They're like, you look a little bit like Zach Brown. I'm like, I don't know
get
if
a
I can
top
feel
hat,
about that.
You can get a hand job in any bar in Boston.
Yeah, I'm Zach Brown. You ever hear my Devil Went Down to Georgia cover?
Oh, no.
Those of you who don't know, Zach Brown Band does a great cover of the Devil Went Down to Georgia. I'm really disappointed that Christian, who brought him up, didn't even laugh at that.
Shut up.
It's okay.
Shut up.
It's okay, Christian.
Christian now just remembering that he's like, you know what? That is a good cover. That is a good cover.
Oh, so country music is sad sometimes. I liked country
most of the time. That's country.
I liked country music for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, this is.
What you mean is you're a kid who liked fucking Johnny Cash in the 2000s.
No, not at all.
No.
I liked actual, not Garth Brooks.
There was actual concern in our family. We were worried.
Toby Keith.
You're like, I liked Garth Brooks, but like Muppet
No,
Show
not even
Garth
Garth Brooks. It was Toby Keith.
For a brief time,
we
were very concerned in our family. We thought that.
I know. Jordan turned me on to quite a few Trent Tomlinson songs.
Trent Tomlinson was awesome, though, and you have to admit
we would literally sit around the house.
I am absolutely.
Did you hear Jordan's listening to country?
I am absolutely not denying that. Sitting in your massive living room listening to Trent Tomlinson
that room is
songs.
ridiculous, right? 30 feet. Absolutely.
That was an absolute
30 feet.
For some reason, you guys would fucking cater it every once in a while. You're like, it's Christmas. We got fucking 9,000 pounds of Chinese food because we have a room big enough to cater. So why don't we?
Oh man, and we don't own that home anymore.
You just pretty much summed up every family holiday we ever had.
And we still.
By the way, our sister lives in a castle window. Like, what the fuck is like your house?
There was always that one day I was expecting her to throw her hair down and some little.
By the way, guys, we live in a pink version of Barbie's dream house, and there's a castle window up in the top.
A Pepto-Bismol advertisement.
Although I wouldn't necessarily call it Barbie's dream house. I'd probably call it more like Pink Barbie's
like a
nightmare.
Pink Mordor, to be honest with you.
I loved it because it was like if hoarders owned the Osborne mansion. You were like, here's this gorgeous mansion owned by someone who has way too many ceramic cats and not enough cabinet space for all these groceries that we don't need.
You know what the worst part is? Like, there was cans.
Who collects that many newspapers, goddammit?
Dude, there were cans. We cleaned out that cabinet. There were cans of food that were bought like 1986 that were still in there. And it's like, what do you need cans of fucking pumpkin pie for? No one in this house has ever made pumpkin pie. Why do we still have these cans?
Seriously, your house would make The Walking Dead into one season where they locked the doors and said, we're all set.
We had a freezer in the basement that you could have hidden a full-size Melissa McCarthy.
Actually, so we also had a room in the basement filled with nothing but coal.
I've never been in your basement because
There
I'm
was nothing
fucking
more
terrified
creepy than
of
when
it.
my dad would be like, "Hey,
That's
we're
'cause you
gonna
dated my
put a
sister.
fire in the fireplace. Christian, run down to the basement and get a can of coal." Oh yeah, sure, Dad. I take this bucket down there, and I'd be like fighting off black widows as I'm trying to grab like piles of coal, putting in this bucket. I felt like it was in a fucking Charles Dickens novel.
It was great too because he'd be like, "Why'd you get the small pieces? We're not Scrooge."
Can we talk about how that was my favorite breakup of all time? Because it was the only time trying to break up with someone where it's like, well, why are we breaking up? And I had to avoid the topic of being like, you're my friend's sister, and this was stupid.
Well,
Let me
it's
find
a really
some
good
other
thing that
reason.
you put it on a podcast that she'll definitely listen to instead.
We can edit that out.
Actually,
You should leave it in. Leave it in, dude. Leave
It's
it in.
very now that I think about what just came flying out of my mouth.
I like that you weren't about to speak. And like
You
that
gotta
happened
leave it
in the
out.
past.
Leave it in. Leave it in. I'm
Your
gonna call
sister's
her.
like married now,
I'm gonna
right?
call her. I'm like, you gotta listen to what Jesse said.
Jesse told
No.
us the real reason he broke up with you. It wasn't him. It was you.
Well, how do you respond when you're just like, oh yeah, my friend's sister? This is gonna get weird. Let's just fucking
I
breaks
think my
on
favorite part is
this.
when we came to visit you in your job
You know,
as a
when
lifeguard.
you first learn that you can hit the space bar to pause YouTube movies on your laptop, you're like, oh, you know what? I can just hit the space bar. I'm
Are
gonna
you
hit the
equating
space
my
bar on
sister
this
to
whole
the
thing
space
right
bar,
now.
or how you broke up with her to the space? I'm so confused.
Probably how I broke up with her.
I think the whole situation is he's equating the whole situation to a YouTube video. So that went well.
We'll just talk about how I'm not well equipped enough to talk about this in a wonderful,
No, I'm sure
intelligent
she's.
manner.
Well, that's right.
I'm
You
sure she's
upgraded your phone today.
I'm sure she's completely over it. I'm pretty sure she only sat in her room for like 2 or 3 hours, turning the light on and off while listening to Madame Butterfly.
Oh, God damn it. Don't tell me the real world implications of that. Shit. Don't tell me how she actually felt after I,
will
did that.
not
That's not
be
fucking cool.
ignored.
That was
And then
years
she
ago.
boiled
I
your
had
pet
moved past it. Well, then she met the dude she was gonna marry.
No,
so
there
you
was
know
a
what?
guy in
Fucking
between that I
fine. That's
threatened
great.
to kill. There was a whole thing. I got fired over it.
Was he black?
No, Jesse was the only black guy she dated that I know about.
Haha! That's impressive because literally all of my previous. You know what? This is gonna get dangerous.
You're
if we continue
undercover.
down this road.
That's what it is, man. You're undercover.
So the first time I ever met Jesse, I was like, "Oh man, it's really cool that I know a guy who perms his hair."
Yeah, that's before I lost it.
And then like we all hung out one time and it was raining and I was like, "Oh man, look at the water beads right off." And then I was like, "Hey, are you half black?" And he's like, "Yeah." It was a pretty awesome.
Well,
conversation.
before I went bald, basically my hair was very thick and wiry, and when it got wet, it fucking jerry curled up like a motherfucker. So yeah.
So long story short, after you broke up with my sister, she was just twirling a hair of a lock of your jerry curls in her own hair. I will get you back.
See, that's awful because like I've broken up with several people, but then I didn't need to know people that were in the same house to have to deal with that.
Oh boy,
I did it out of
Well,
respect for you, Jordan.
I don't really care.
It's weird
never
to
did.
date your friend's sister.
You don't have to say date. You can say what you really want to say.
No, because that never happened.
Well, I mean, as far as on the record, it never happened. But we'll see what happens after we.
God damn it! This is getting weirder than I wanted it to.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna call it. This might by far be our worst episode.
Or best,
So-
depending on how you look at it.
I'm gonna call it
Why
now.
did I get cornered by the Oscars at the end?
Time of death was at about 15 minutes into the episode. So this episode was brought to you by the Gear Network. We are Misguided Musings. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Misguided Musings. We are at Musing Podcast on both Instagram and on Twitter. I am at J_K_Oster. Jesse is at HafricanJ. It's H African J. Matt is at An Eclectic Taste, or you can search for Bill Castle. And Sarge is at The Bastard Prophet. Yeah, it's a long story when Matt had an alternate identity. Like I said, it's the Clark Kent to his Superman.
That was illegal back then. I had to.
And Christian is at Bastard Prophet. I don't know if I said that.
Did you get
already.
Did you get the Instagram picture I sent you of Andrew WK following me on Twitter?
I didn't yet. I saw that you tagged me in it, so I will go and check that out. We thank you for joining us on this episode. We promise the next one will be much, much better.
I feel like back to the original lineup. Have yet to deliver.
And like I said, time of death on this episode right around the 50-minute mark. So thank you all for
life right around the 50-minute episode.
I thank you all for joining us, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks. And don't forget, in about 1 month's time, you will actually be joining us for the Misguided Musings Quinceañera. So get ready to look for that.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.